Earthquakes. Briefly, as you all must be having an idea or general idea what the earthquake is. Recently, one of the biggest tragedies which struck even some parts of India, but mostly Nepal, was the Nepal earthquake. So it was even in the news recently. So what is basically an earthquake? You have the fresh memories of Nepal earthquake, and most of you, if you are living in the northern part of India, you must have experienced some kind of a tremors. What I say? Tremors. That is the shaking up of the earth. So what is the earthquake? Earthquake is the demonstration of the power of the earth by shaking the structures, by shaking the crust of an earth. So in our simple words, if we try to say what is an earthquake, it is a shaking of the earth. Now why does the earth shake? Or how can we define the earthquake in a proper way? So the definition of an earthquake will be a demonstration of a shaking of the earth due to. Why does the earth shake? Due to the disequilibrium in the crustal rocks of the earth. That is, this is somewhat a technical definition, a disequilibrium in the crustal rocks of the earth. Or we can say, in a simple words, it is a vibration or oscillation on the surface of the earth. Why? Because there is a kind of a disequilibrium in the elasticity of the rocks, in the crust of the earth, or in the surface of the earth, or beneath the surface of the earth. Take, and for simple example, take a rubber band. Stretch the rubber band to a maximum. It will get stretched till the time its elasticity limit will allow. Once if you try to stretch the rubber band, there will come a point of time when the rubber band will break. Once the rubber band breaks, it comes and hurts your both the hands. That is, one part here, other part in this hand. Same thing. Now when it hurts, it vibrates and comes and is displaced to the other position. The same thing happens to the rocks. Rocks, when they are stretched, when they are folded, when they are disturbed, when they are put under tremendous pressure, there is a break in the elasticity of the rocks. That is, the rocks get compressed or get stretched up to a maximum level. After that, the elasticity of the rock breaks. There is a release of energy. The rocks are displaced to two other positions, and the time the release of energy comes and it shakes the earth, resulting into formation of an earthquake. So what is an earthquake? It is the demonstration of the tectonic forces. Why tectonic forces? Why? Because is it due to endogenetic force or exogenetic force? Obviously due to endogenetic force. So it is the demonstration of tectonic forces of the earth. In which there is a vibration or oscillation. There is a vibration or oscillation of the surface of the earth. There is a vibration or oscillation of what? Of the surface of the earth due to disequilibrium, or we can say due to disturbance of equilibrium of what? Of rocks where beneath the earth's surface. Third, it is in the form of wave of energy which shakes the surface of the earth. It is a form of wave energy which shakes the Earth's surface. So the demonstration of the tectonic forces of the Earth which causes vibration or oscillation of the surface of the Earth due to the disturbance of equilibrium of the rocks beneath the surface of the Earth, or we can say it is an energy wave which shakes the Earth. It is caused due to the tectonic forces, it is caused due to the endogenetic forces. So the first thing you should remember, once if you say an earthquake, it is an oscillation, energy, wave which is caused due to endogenetic forces. If the question comes, what is an earthquake? Is it an endogenetic force or exogenetic force? It is an endogenetic force. If you remember the previous lectures, what kind of an endogenetic force? Sudden force. Because there were two types of endogenetic force. One was diastrophic movements of the Earth, one were sudden movements of the Earth. We have done the diastrophic movements in the terms of folding, faulting. The sudden movements were volcanoes, which we have finished in the previous part, and now the earthquakes. So any kind of this all are this interrelated? Yes. Folding causes volcanoes. Volcanoes causes earthquake. Earthquake may cause an volcanic eruption. Why are they? What are they? They are just demonstration of the quicker parts of the folding and faulting ability of the Earth. So the demonstration of the tectonic forces of the Earth. Now whenever the earthquake occurs, there are the 2 points you should remember whenever there is an earthquake occurs. The point at which there is an occurrence of an earthquake inside the Earth is known as, this point is known as focus. So the point on the surface, beneath the Earth's surface, where there is an origin of the earthquake, is known as the focus, while the point which is exactly perpendicular to this focus on the surface of the Earth is known as epicenter. What is the difference between the focus and the epicenter? Focus is always present beneath the surface of the Earth. It is a place of origin of the earthquake. It is a place of origin of the earthquake occurs at the focus. It's a place where there is an origin of an earthquake, while the point on the surface of the Earth, perpendicular to the focus, is known as an epicenter. Focus is also known as an hypocenter. So look at the diagram again. What is a focus? Focus is a point beneath the surface of the Earth where there is an origin of the earthquake, while the epicenter is a place which is perpendicular to the buried focus on which experiences the seismic waves for the first time. So where will be the experience of the seismic waves? It is the epicenter which will experience the seismic waves for the first time. Now what are the words I used? They experience the seismic waves for the first time. Now if you remember the previous lecture, you will remember what are the seismic waves. What are those waves or seismic waves? The waves, the energy waves which are generated during the earthquake are known as seismic waves. So what are the waves which are generated during an earthquake? remember your initial part, that is the interior of the earth. How do we know the interior of the earth? By studying the earthquake waves. What are these three kind of waves? It is a primary wave, secondary wave, and the surface waves. So what are the properties of these waves? This wave's primary wave is the first wave to be generated, therefore it is known as the primary wave. Then the secondary wave, it is generated. This secondary wave travels with half the speed of a primary wave. So it is known as the secondary wave. It is the second wave to reach the point on the surface of the earth. The difference between the properties of primary wave and the secondary wave is, primary wave can pass through all the medium, that is solid, liquid and gas. Obviously, the denser the material, more will be the speed. For example, if you try to talk in a vacuum, get no sound. If you try to talk in water, very unclear sound. But if you try to talk in a denser medium, the sound travels faster. One more practical application, during difference between summers and winters. During winter you can hear the sounds from far away places, from far distances. For example, the clarity of a train passing through the railway track, even if your house is located far away, the chances are there you will hear it during the winter night. Why? Because the cold air is denser as compared to the warm air. So during the summers you don't hear that much sounds, but during the winter you will hear the sounds. So the primary wave being similar to the sound wave, it can travel through all the three mediums. The secondary wave does not travel through the liquid medium, and as a result of this property we know the property of the earth, that is the inner core. Innermost core is made up of liquid or molten material, because the S waves do not pass through the inner part of the core. The third kind of a wave which is generated is a longitudinal wave, or it is a surface wave. It is caused due to the interaction of primary wave and the secondary wave. It is the slowest of all the waves, but it is the most destructive of all the waves. So whatever the destruction is caused by the earthquake, it is caused due to the surface waves. The surface waves are the last waves to arrive at the surface of the earth. You refer for the waves to your previous lecture on the interior of the earth. I will again, so the kind of the waves, these waves which are generated during an earthquake, they are known as the seismic waves. So what are these seismic waves? These are the waves generated during the earthquake. Earthquake, I will use EQ for earthquake. You remember, these are the waves which are generated during the earthquake. There are three kinds of waves. P waves or primary waves, S waves or secondary waves, and surface waves. And the surface waves. So these are the three major kinds of waves which are generated during the earthquake: primary wave, secondary wave, and the surface waves. The primary wave have a property, that is, these two are generated inside the earth. Primary wave, it is generated inside the earth. The secondary wave is also generated inside the earth, but its property is that it cannot pass through liquid medium, while the surface waves are generated, on the surface of the earth, and therefore these are known as the surface waves. So can we call these two waves as body waves? These two are body waves, while surface wave or L wave is a surface wave. What is the property of primary wave? Similar to sound wave. Passes through all the mediums. It passes through all the mediums, that is solid, liquid and gas. It is the fastest wave. And first wave to reach any point. What is the property of a secondary wave? Generated after primary wave or P wave, does not pass through liquids. Therefore, it does not pass through liquid core, liquid outer core, travels with half the speed of P wave. It travels with half the speed of P wave. See, remember this each and every points, because these are the points which will be asked in the examination. That is, what are the properties of this? Why are they? These two waves are known as the body waves because they are generated inside the surface of the earth. Now the surface waves, it is obviously generated outside the surface, generated on the surface. It is the slowest of all the waves. But it is most destructive of all the waves. It is most destructive of all the waves which are generated. So these are the different kind of seismic waves. So if there is an earthquake on the surface of the earth, suppose this is a point on the surface of the earth which is experiencing an earthquake, or if this is a man who is standing, which will be the first wave to come? The first wave will be primary wave. Next will be the secondary wave, and the last wave to arrive will be an surface wave. So this will be the three kinds of waves. See, by this diagram itself, by this graph itself, we can know the destructive power or energy of this waves, or this is an amplitude, maximum amplitude, minimum amplitude. So because of this, they travel fastest, they travel slowest. So these are P waves. The first to reach the surface of the earth, these are S waves, and these are the surface waves. Obviously, these are the most destructive of all waves. Now, all this recording, this energy is recorded. This graph is made on an instrument, that is the seismic waves which are generated during an earthquake. They are recorded on the instrument which is known as seismograph. They are recorded on an instrument which is known as seismograph. So these waves are recorded on an instrument which is known as a seismograph. So just have a brief idea that is P waves, S waves and surface waves which are generated. These are the three types of earthquake, this waves. What is the difference between this point is known as epicenter, which is always on the surface of the earth. So we have P waves, we have S waves. We know the idea of what is focus, what is epicenter, what are the three kind of waves, that is P, S and surface waves. Okay. So with this knowledge we will go to the next topic, which are what are the causes of an earthquake, or why does the earthquake occurs, or why does the earth shakes. What are the basic causes of an earthquake? Or you as a student of a geography, you should, if they ask you why does the earth shake, is it the God's anger which is shaking the earth, or is it some other phenomena, some heavy man walking in the heaven and then it is shaking the earth, the mythological stories? The shaking of the earth, the first thing as a geography student you should know is you should talk of endogenetic forces. So what causes the earth, shaking of the earth? It is the different kind of endogenetic forces. So what are different kind of tectonic movements of the plate? Tectonic movements means endogenetic movements. Tectonic margins means where the plate margins, where there are different kinds of movements, that is convergent plate boundary, divergent plate boundary. So the first word which should come in your mind is the tectonic movement of the plate. This causes the shaking of the earthquakes. What are these tectonic movements? So the earthquakes can be caused due to different kind of tectonic movements. What we studied till now, folding. Folding is one of the movement which causes the earthquake. So whenever there is a folding, earthquake will occur. One of the biggest cause of earthquakes is faulting. Faultings, earthquakes are majorly related to the faultings. Faultings means pulling of the crust of the earth, normal fault. Pushing of the crust of the earth. And what kind of a fault? Reverse fault. Compressional forces, tensional forces. If any doubt, refer to your previous lecture on the faults and on the folds. So the tectonic forces are the major reasons or the formation of an earthquake. Why? Because these earthquakes are generally formed due to the disequilibrium in the earth's crust. The disequilibrium causes the rocks to move, the rocks to get displaced, and as I told you, the rocks to break their elastic limit, resulting into release of energy, resulting into, whenever the energy is released, shaking up of the earth, and as a result of this, earthquakes. So the earthquakes are, that means can we say that the earthquakes are associated with the weaker zones of the earth? Obviously, why? If you remember your fault lecture, faulting is associated with the weaker zones of the earth. Can we say that the earthquakes are associated with the plate margins? Yes, we can say that, because the folding is associated with the plate margins. Can we say the earthquake are associated with the volcanic zones of the earth? What happens in a volcano? There are volcanic eruptions of two types. One, violent type. In that violent type, the magma pushes the top of the earth. That means the magma is moving or removing the top of the earth. And because when the top of the earth is removed by the molten lava which comes out, this causes vibration. So the earthquakes are associated with, obviously, volcanoes. What kind of a volcano? Violent volcanic eruption. If we look at the mid-oceanic regions, there is a volcanic eruption, that is the fissure kind of volcano. Moving of the earth crust, and then the magma comes out, and then mid-oceanic ridges are caused. Will it cause earthquake? Yes. See, the moving of the earth's crust is a cause of the earthquake. And then obviously volcanic eruption. So Earthquakes, endogenetic forces. Why endogenetic forces? Because they disturb the disequilibrium of the rocks, because the rocks break their elasticity limit, they are moved to some other position, resulting into energy wave, which are called as earthquakes. So what are these various forces? One is folding faulting, the other is volcanoes. These are the major causes. Now, are the earthquakes only experienced in the faulting zones of the earth or along the plate boundaries? The middle part of the earth, in which there is no plate boundary, in which are inside the plate, can they experience an earthquake? Or do you have a living memory of such earthquake, or do you have a memory where such earthquake occurred in recent times? For example, you know that hotspot is not at the plate boundary in volcano, but it is somewhere deep inside the crust. But there is a sudden volcanic eruption. Obviously, there will be an earthquake. But one of the major reason what I am saying is, if you remember devastating earthquake of Latur and Koyna Dam in the state of Maharashtra. This is an area which is not at the boundary of a plate. How is the size of an Indian plate? This is how the Indo-Australian plate is. That is, this is the entire plate is Indo-Australian plate. Koyna Dam is situated somewhere in the interior, in this part of an India. But still, there was an earthquake in this region. What is it? Why it is causing the earthquake? It is causing the earthquake. Why did it cause the earthquake there? It is due to human being induced or anthropogenic cause of an earthquake. So there are some natural causes of an earthquake, while there are some anthropogenic causes. We are building bigger dams, and there is a general consensus that the large dams reservoir causes the earthquake. Now when we are building the larger dams, we are compressing. If the dam is being built on this surface of the earth, if a larger dam is being built here, if this dam, due to presence of water, due to its size, is compressing the rocks which are deep inside this crust of the earth, as a result the rocks will be compressed up to their elastic limit is reached. Once their elastic limit is reached, they will be broken. With breaking, energy wave will be released and the rocks will be displaced. That is one of the reason for areas which are having dams having the earthquakes. That is, the too much pressure on the rocks is causing the rocks to break, release of wave energy and the earthquakes. As a result, the causes of the earthquakes: one, natural causes, that is endogenetic movements, folding, faulting, volcanoes. Second, anthropogenic causes, that is, anthropogenic means human induced. Genic is the origin. Anthropology is the study of human beings. So the genesis or the origin is due to human beings. So what are the various causes of human beings? One is the dams. We build larger dams, resulting into earthquakes. For example, earthquake in the Koyna region, in the Latur region of Maharashtra, that is deep inside the plate. Had the earthquake been here, or had the earthquake been here at the boundary of a plate, then we can explain it by plate tectonics. But why do deep inside it is an example of a human induced earthquake. Then some smaller earthquakes. We are blasting the mountainous regions for mining purposes, for construction of the roads. With the blasting, obviously the rocks get, what happens to the rocks? The rocks are loosened up. The equilibrium of the rocks is destroyed and the structure becomes weak, and as a result there is a landslide. If the landslide is very large and if the land comes and falls down, then obviously you can feel the wave energy coming and resulting into shaking up of the earth. Localized shaking may happen depending upon the size, but the shaking of the earthquake will happen. So blasting up of the hills, blasting up of the mountains, blasting the ground surface for pumping out oils, for taking out water, will also cause earthquake, because we are disturbing the equilibrium of the rocks. And if such blasting happens in the areas of the faults, in the areas of the folds, then it will have large scale earthquake. One of the powerful bombs, nuclear explosion. If you have seen nuclear explosion on the television, how is nuclear explosion? A bomb is sent and then the wave energy travels, destroying everything that comes on its path. Same is the cause of an earthquake. In fact, the bomb at Hiroshima Nagasaki in Japan, which was thrown, the atomic bomb, was supposed to have an energy released by an earthquake having magnitude of 6. So magnitude 6 earthquake releases how much energy? The same amount of energy was released by a nuclear bomb. So nuclear explosion is also one of the major cause of anthropogenic cause of an earthquake. So the causes of an earthquake we can say are first, volcanicity. This is the first and the major cause of an earthquake is volcanoes or volcanicity. Now, volcano can be a cause of earthquake. Earthquake may result into volcano. These two are interrelated. It is very much, volcanoes and the earthquakes are very much interrelated. For example, going up of a margin of a plate in a convergent plate boundary, then rising up of magma blowing off a top of a mountain will result into an earthquake. When the earth's crust moves, earthquake. Because of the moving of the earthquake at the divergent plate boundary, magma rises up, volcano. So these two are very much related. These are related to each other. Volcanicity and earthquakes are related to each other. Why do the earthquakes occur? The earthquakes occur because explosive volcanic materials trying to escape the earth the interior of the earth shakes the earth, resulting into earthquakes. They shakes the earth, resulting into an earthquake. That is, they disturb the earth, resulting into an earthquake. So the plate margins, so these are interrelated. Earthquake can lead to volcano, volcano can lead to an earthquake. So these are highly interrelated, that is, they can lead to each other. The second cause is folding and faulting. You can just take these points, important points before I rub it. Volcanicity and earthquakes are related to each other. Why? How they are related? Because earthquake may result into volcano, volcanic eruption may result into earthquake. Why does it occur? Generally because the magma which tries to escape the earth along with the volcanic gases, they disturb the equilibrium of the rocks, they shake the interior of the earth, they shake the earth, resulting into an earthquake. So that means the earthquakes are related with volcanic eruption. That means the earthquakes are related with both convergent plate boundary as well as divergent plate boundary. The second reason is folding and faulting. The second reason is folding and faulting of the earth. Now, how does the folding and faulting of the earth causes an earthquakes? Whenever the folding occurs, whenever there is too much of a folding is occurring, obviously some kind of a pressure will be built on the surface of the earth. What is folding? Folding of this interior of the earth. So we are building the pressure on the surface of the earth, and as a result the rocks are folded. So there is a compressive strength, compressive force. So here this folding is occurring. Due to folding, the earth is moving and resulting into an formation of an earthquake. Whenever the earth moves, obviously the earth does not move very smoothly like a frictionless surface. The crust of the earth will move with a friction. As a result, there is a release of energy causing the shaking up of the earth and earthquake. So the folding will result into an earthquake. Faulting. What kind of different faults are there? Compressional fault, that is reverse fault when there is a movement towards each other. Then normal fault when there is a movement away from each other. And the parallel fault when the movement is, or the strike fault when the movement is parallel to each other, that is horizontal. When there is a vertical movement towards each other, compressional. When there is a vertical movement away from each other, normal due to tensional forces. And when there is an horizontal movement. See, in all this kind of movements, there is a shaking up of the earth's crust, resulting into obviously earthquakes. So whenever there will be movement of the earth, be it folding, be it faulting, there will be earthquakes. So coming to the faulting, in fact, very strong earthquakes are formed due to the faulting. Why due to the faulting? Because it is in the faulting that we can use the theory of elasticity of the rocks. The rocks will be compressed up to a certain level, that is the elastic limit. If I have the power, I can compress or bend this glass up to a certain level. After that, the glass will break. When the glass breaks, wave energy will be released, and the pieces of the glass will fall at different places. Same logic you apply to the rocks. Faulting will result into stretching up of the rocks if it is a normal fault. It will result into compression of a rocks if it is a reverse fault, up to a limit which is known as elasticity limit of the rocks. Once the elasticity limit of the rock is crossed, the rocks break, release of wave energy, and then the release of wave energy will cause earthquakes. So folding and faulting is related to the earthquakes. So first we will write about the folding. The intense compressive forces. Folding, you remember, only compressive force, no tensional force, only compressive force is there in the folding. That is why the fold is occurring. I cannot fold this paper from both the sides if I start pulling this paper. I can fold it only if I apply the compressive forces. So here only compressive forces are acting. The intense compressive forces causes disturbance in the equilibrium of rocks, resulting into an earthquake. That means the areas of major fold mountains, are they associated with earthquake? Recent memory. Where is Nepal? Nepal is in Himalayan mountain system. So this area is associated with an earthquake. So the entire Himalayan mountain system where the folding is going on will be associated with an earthquake. The second is in the areas of faulting. What happens in the area of faulting? In the area of faulting, there is an extreme tensive force, that is tensional force is being applied in the areas of normal fault, and as a result the rocks are pulled. There is a sudden jerk in the rock, release of wave energy, sudden jerk resulting into vibration and earthquakes. So we can write here the sudden dislocation of the rocks, sudden dislocation of rocks due to both tensional, that is normal fold, due to both tensional force, that is a normal fault, as well as compressional force. That is due to both compressional and normal force causes earthquake. Causes the earthquakes. Now why does it cause, that is why does the faulting cause an earthquake? Why does the faulting cause, or we know that faulting, there is a sudden dislocation of the rocks due to tensional force or due to compressional force, and they cause, their sudden dislocation will cause earthquake. But why? Now again you remember the rubber band example. Rubber band is a perfect example. You pull, that is you pull up to a certain limit and then it will break. Obviously you cannot push a rubber band, but for example I can push this glass, and if I have enough strength I can bend this rock. Unfortunately I don't have, but if I have enough strength I can bend this glass, and then after some time the glass will break. Same thing you apply to the rocks. So the rocks inside the surface of the earth, underground rocks, behave like elastics. Behave like what? Elastic when they are stretched and pulled. When stretched and pulled. That is, they behave like elastic and they are stretched and pulled. Now they get stretched and pulled. They are stretched and pulled. Only up to the elastic limit of the rocks. What do you mean by elastic limit? That means up to the bending limit of the rocks. Only up to the elastic limit of rocks. Once the elastic limit is broken, the rocks get dislocated. The rocks are dislocated. This dislocation, due to this, causing earthquakes. So how does the faulting apply here? That is, the underground rocks behave like elastic. When stretched and pulled, they get stretched and pulled up to a certain limit. Once the elastic limit is broken, the rocks are dislocated. Due to dislocation, tremors are felt. Tremors result into earthquakes. So you have to remember this certain points, that the rocks are like elastic. Very simple. So this is the second cause, that is the endogenetic causes, that is faulting and faulting, volcanic eruption. Now there are some other causes that are the anthropogenic causes. Anthropogenic causes. One of the major anthropogenic cause, as we already have discussed, is a reservoir induced earthquakes or dam induced earthquakes. That is the earthquakes which are caused due to large dams or large reservoirs are known as reservoir induced earthquakes. How is this caused? Again, you can apply the elasticity theory. That is, if this is a rock structure, if this is an entire structure of the earth having the different kind of rocks, example sedimentary rocks or any other rock, now the first thing, to construct a dam, we are destroying this region by blasting, by any kind of a means. For example, if we are destroying it by blasting, resulting into cracks or faults which are set up in the rocks. Now these rocks will be faulted. Then we are constructing a big dam on it. Now with the construction of a big dam, and obviously why the dam is being constructed, to have reservoir of water on it. Now this all causes pressure to be felt on the rock system. This entire causes the more and more pressure on the rocks. That is, the rocks are pushed. Are they being pushed? Same like compressive force. The rocks are being pushed, and after some time, if this rock, due to already which has been cracked, they get dislocated. They may be dislocated to some other position because of extreme pressure. For example, I cannot show you in this diagram, limitation, no animation here. So, but you just use your imaginative power, that if you are pushing this rock due to the dams, and due to the dams here, these rocks are being pushed, and once this rock's elasticity limit is broken, the rocks will be dislocated some other position. For example, we may take that rocks are dislocated to the other position here. This will result into shaking up of the earth, even the minor dislocation, resulting into release of wave energy from here. That what we call as an, if the wave energy is released, what we call as an earthquake. So this may become the focus, release of wave energy, and causing the earthquake in this entire region which is surrounding the dam. So the focus will be here, the epicenter will be on the top somewhere else. As a result, this is an example of an reservoir induced or a dam induced earthquake. So what, you can just have a look and understand the diagram again here. That is how the earthquake will be caused in the areas of a reservoir or in the areas of a dam in this region. So what is the major reason for the reservoir induced earthquake? Is introduction of artificial load. such as dams, reservoirs, introduction of we are introducing artificial loads. So we are introducing obviously the artificial load causes disequilibrium in the rocks. Causes disequilibrium in the rocks, resulting into earthquakes. These are causing disequilibrium in the rocks, resulting into earthquakes. Now, just an assignment which is just for your brainstorming or just for your thought process. Then, should we invest in large dams? You just find out. Try to think, try to Google, try to use your textbooks or your knowledge that should the big dams be constructed, should the big reservoir be constructed. There are some positives: electricity generation, irrigation, electricity for household purpose, electricity for industrial purpose. In fact, India is a energy hungry country. We need lot of energy to sorry. India is an energy hungry country. Why we say energy hungry country? To become a developed country, to have the level of growth and to bring our entire Indian population out of poverty, to make sure that the development reaches everywhere, to make sure we become industrialized, to make sure that Make in India campaign works, to make sure that there are too much jobs, there is no unemployment, no poverty in India. We have to invest in large scale factories, in infrastructure. The factories will come to in India if only there is an electricity. Now India is a blessed country in the terms of water resources, though we are not using it properly because we are not taking it as a blessing, we are taking it for granted. We are polluting our waters. But India is an fairly blessed country as we compare to the other countries in the terms of rivers, in the terms of water. So we can in fact have a good electricity generation in the terms of hydroelectric power, because the thermal power, which is the power from the coal, will come to it in later topics, has its limitation in the terms of that it is polluting. Even the coal supply is limited. So as a result of this, clean energy in the terms of thermal powers, one of the reason for building of the dams. The other is flood control is also one of the reason. Drought control is also one of the reason. So that we can have, how the drought control is one of the reasons, so that we can have large number of, the drought control means we can use this water during the season of drought by supplying irrigation project. Our farming community depends on the monsoon. So, but monsoon is very erratic. You can see right now also that there is no monsoon continuously going on. So the monsoon is very erratic. And as a result of this, we are dependent on rainfalls and our farmers are suffering. So one of the solution is irrigation. Irrigation by conserving water, extra water during the rainy season, making sure that during the dry season the farmer gets the water. So the second use of dams. Third use is again flood control. That is the extra water which comes during the flood is stored in a reservoir, diverted to some other parts which need. So these are some of the benefits, in fact benefits of the dam. Now the second is, what is the disadvantage? One of the disadvantages you are seeing here of the dams is reservoir induced earthquake, and we have an example. Earthquake in Koyna region of Maharashtra. Is an example of a reservoir induced earthquake. The second is, when we are constructing a dam, we need lot of amount of investment, Lot of investment in the terms of building of such a large dam, lot amount of infrastructure is being built, lot amount of money is being built. Pandit Nehru had called dams as the temples of modern India. But now you can see there are many people who are opposing the dams. Why? The first thing is construction cost, but the major thing is displacement of the people. People, when we construct large amount of big dams, large amount of people are displaced. That is, if a particular site is selected for a dam, the villagers from here will have to move in the surrounding regions. Indian people, we are attached to the land because India is a farmers country, so we are attached to the land more emotionally than compared to the many other countries. And as a result, displacement, and because of some kind of a red tapeism, the people who are displaced, they do not get their rights, they do not get their compensation fairly enough or speedy enough, and justice delayed is justice denied. So as a result of this, there is resistance. Third is environment, ecology, forest, etc. is destroyed when we construct a dam. So when there is a destruction of large scale of forest, and today the climate change is one of the major issue. When we are destroying the large scale forest, are the dams necessary, or do we have some other options such as smaller dams, such as check dams, such as some other? So just have a brainstorming session, use your knowledge, advantage, disadvantage of dams. Advantage, I have given you some point, enrich yourself with some other points. Same thing applies to the disadvantage. You have lot of examples such as Medha Patkar's opposition to Sardar Sarovar project, etc. So you can enrich it and come to the conclusion what India should do, and that should be your answer. Your answer can be positive, your answer can be negative, but it should have proper justification. It is not necessary that answer has to be universal yes or universal no, but your point should be properly justified. So as coming back to geography topic, there are reservoir induced earthquake such as dams due to the introduction of artificial loads such as dam reservoirs, etc. cause disequilibrium in the rocks, causing earthquakes. The second is mining activities, especially underground mines. Why underground mines? We are blasting the earth, therefore underground mines. Third is blasting of rocks using dynamites. For road construction, rail construction, etc. Fourth, underground drilling. For exploration of and pumping of oil, water, etc. Nuclear explosion. Nuclear explosion. So these are the different, these are the different anthropogenic causes. All the causes disturb the equilibrium of the rocks and they result into earthquakes. So breaking the elasticity of the rocks, disturbing the equilibrium of the rocks, causing earthquakes in the rocks. So these are the different causes of the earthquakes, and as I told you, think on some of the points. If you have any doubts, you refer to the lectures on plate tectonics, refer to the lecture on the interior of the earth for the waves. So coming to the next topic is plate tectonics and the earthquakes. How do we explain the earthquakes with the help of plate tectonics? How do we explain the different type of earthquakes due to plate tectonic theory?